A blessed Palm Sunday to each and every one of you. I believe all of us have had the opportunity to go to our local gatherings and worship the King of Kings, the only one who deserves to be adored and magnified throughout the ages, Jesus Christ Himself. And as I was reading through Matthew 21 and verse 1 onwards, how Jesus enters into Jerusalem. He's walking from a village called Bethphage, which is around 2 miles out from Jerusalem, and he starts walking towards Jerusalem. And on the way, he asks two of his disciples to get him a donkey from a nearby village. And such a powerful way to make an entrance. And why is it powerful? We'll also look at that. But before that, just to lay a little bit of foundation here, uh, if you have read about the vision of Ezekiel in Ezekiel chapter 1, how the Lord opens Ezekiel's eyes and he starts seeing the glories of heaven, and he gets a vision of the throne room of God, and he talks about these four creatures who are under the sea of glass which carries the throne of God, and these four creatures are accompanied by four wheels. And this is what you can read about this in Ezekiel 1 and 15 onwards, 15 to 20. And let me read a few lines from this passage for you. The appearance of the wheels and their workmanship was like sparkling topaz, and all four of them had the same form, their appearance, their workmanship being as if one wheel were within another. And these were just the wheels of the vehicle in which God moved regularly, usually. This was the usual mode of transportation of Jesus. And I want you to understand what Jesus has left for us. He left that throne, and sometimes we can take the incarnation for granted. Now, it's very difficult for us to imagine and even comprehend what Jesus has left for us. But this gives us a glimpse, a small glimpse of the glory which Jesus left when he put on flesh. And his forever vehicle, this throne room, which used to move around. And these wheels were even turning in any direction wherever the Spirit of the Lord was leading that throne or the vehicle. These wheels were moving without even turning. They could go in all directions, and this is technology beyond, what we have seen or what we can imagine. But Jesus leaves that, and when he's entering into Jerusalem, he rides upon a donkey. And as I said, this is very significant because in the spiritual, Jesus was making a statement. And this has been actually prophesied by the prophet Zechariah in Zechariah 9:9. This is what Zechariah says: Rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion. Shout in triumph, daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. He is righteous and endowed with salvation, humble and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a donkey. This was prophesied by the prophet Zechariah many years before even Jesus was born. That the Messiah, the divine Messiah, is going to come, enter into Jerusalem seated on a donkey. And Jesus was fulfilling this prophecy. But the purpose of why Jesus entered into Jerusalem that way, or why even Jesus was entering into Jerusalem, was that he was preparing for war. He was about to wage a spiritual battle against the enemy, and the enemy being the devil and all of the hosts of hell. And if you read the next verse in Zechariah, things start to get clear. And if you actually read the whole chapter, and whenever you have free time, I would advise that you read through the entire chapter. But this is what is happening in verse 10. I will eliminate the chariot of Ephraim and the horse from Jerusalem, and the bow of war will be eliminated, and he will speak peace to the nations. His dominion will be from sea to sea, from the Euphrates river to the ends of the earth. Now, this king who is entering into Jerusalem on a colt, on a donkey, he is waging war against chariots and horses. This was such a gangster move by Jesus, that he is entering into Jerusalem to take over the city, to wage this spiritual battle. But the enemy that he's against are these spiritual forces who probably would have the best armor and they were strong in the spiritual realm. But Jesus comes alone on a donkey. And this tells us that Jesus can even use donkeys to win battles. I have never seen anyone carry a donkey or take a donkey into a war zone. No soldier would make that blunder. That would be stupid. But Jesus is here. And it's like him challenging the enemy, saying to the devil that I will even come on a donkey and still defeat you and all the forces of hell. What a gangster move by Jesus. And we know that in the days to follow, Jesus goes into the temple first, cleanses the temple, but then he also goes to the cross. And that is where our victory is won for us by Jesus. He fought on our behalf as a one man army. That is the Christ that you and I worship. Blessed Palm Sunday to each and every one of you. God bless.